Beware, spoilers ahead. Welcome. This is the top 10 monster design in Dark Souls games. In today's video, we are going to see the different monster designs in Dark Souls 1. But first a quick reminder that this top is a personal opinion. We all have our favorite monster design, especially that one that we don't really frame free in our heads, waiting to see us again at night, or in a new game plus. Very well, after saying that, let's begin with number 10. Asylum Demon. When you see a monumental mass jump in front of you, you don't expect to be a demon. We're on the exit of the asylum where they send you to die. Well, for some people, it may seem to be a bit realistic, for some reason. In any case, this design reminds me a lot of other examples, that I don't doubt that, to some extent, there was some inspiration from other worlds, such as Brutalus or Manarok from World of Warcraft, or even Nugget from Warhammer 40k. However, while Dark Souls is heavily inspired by Berserk, there is no doubt that its design became so iconic that they are easily recognizable. As for the Asylum Demon, this boss has a grotesque design, more fat with the irony of having small wings to lift such a massive entity. It makes for a good combination to start the most emblematic game of the last decade, with a powerful demon wielding a huge mace that can brutalize anything that approaches it. Not only the last pillar supporting the asylum, but anything in its path. And of course that this set of movements is in line with the design of the boss we are facing, making the beginning of the game a moment that screams at us that everything that waits us in Dark Souls will be brutal. Number 9. Bell Gargoyle. The classic design of a dark fantasy monster, nocturnal terrors from the underground, and guardians all at once. Monstrous stone creatures that have lurked for centuries, stalking the evil and protecting sacred structure from it. These formidable statues were placed at the entrance of Gothic style churches and cathedrals, safeguarding the temples of God. They flourished during the Middle Ages, but they have been with us for much longer. In Dark Souls, they were the first Bell of Awakening, which we are destined to find and wring it. Their design is aggressive, bestial, primal, but above all, from the intro of the cinematic it becomes clear that these gargoyles are very ancient, working through their slumber with great difficulty, forcing their rigid bodies to resurrect. They carry a helmet, the quintessential weapon of gargoyles, in the melancholic and sinister universe of Dark Souls. Number 8. Capra Demon. You are wandering through the ruins of what once was a great kingdom. You descend into its trees, where long ago there seems to be a vibrant market, but now all you find are ruins, death and isolation. Corpses are being cremated, rabid dogs devouring the remains of those who believed they could escape, while bandits and thieves loot everything they can find, hoping to discover something of value in the houses of people who have long lost everything. At the far end of this fearful scene, where the street ends, you see a dense fog. You pass through it, and behold the one responsible for this massacre. A tall and imposing figure, yet abnormal, not human. It has a human body, but its head reminds you of some kind of animal, perhaps a goat or a bull. It stands there, holding two colossal pieces of metal that appear to be a bone fragment, covered in chains, the same that wears them like machetes. Lacking of any magical blessing, and solely empowered by the brute force and destruction of this horrible being, that monster wields them like machetes, reducing its enemy to a brutal explosion of blood mist with each deadly strike. Number 7. Seasoning the Charge. A colossal entity, a monstrous aberration of fire and mortal flesh, the surge of our lava flow in the demon winds, and also the mutating form beyond any salvation of the youngest brother of the Daughters of Chaos. Its design is basically the most extreme form of a demon, possibly even a combination of several in one terrifying amalgamation. Perhaps the horns of the Taurus demon, the spiral-like legs of Kerlak, protruding from its back. The pale resemblance of the silent demon in its face and body. The space that the confrontation with it can become somewhat monotonous and tedious. However, there is an option of dealing with it with a single bow, but that is something that not everyone may be able to discover at first sight. As in Dark Souls, gravity force always tends to be the greatest foe. Number 6. Chaos Witch Kralak. The description of a hybrid, half spider and half woman, can certainly be two sides of the same coin. A delight for some, and a horror for others. For a long time, the classic design of a woman and a beast fused into a single entity has been repeated in various cultures, either as a result of curses on a woman humiliated and betrayed by the gods she served, like Medusa, or as sirens known for seducing sailors and drowning them in the depths of the seas. More recently, there has been a rise of mythical creatures, but in their female version in various medias. These entities evoke both a sense of fear and a touch of erotism. However, in the universe of Dark Souls, she is one of the daughters of the Witch of Isolate. Along with the most of her family, she failed to escape the Chaos Flame and was corrupted by it. When her mother, the Witch of Isolate, and her older sisters became the Bed of Chaos, she fled with her sister, where her sanity remained intact. The lower half of her body took the form of a demon spider, and when her sister got ill and went blind, Kralak stayed in Blind Town to protect her from anyone who tried to harm her. In the very end, just a tragic story of a sister who just tried to protect her family with all the strength she called muster. Number 5. Gaping Demon. We can assume it's a dragon due to its name or its initial appearance, which we believe to be the case. As it reveals itself, we can see that, in reality, it's an aberration. Its abdomen transformed into a grotesque jaws, a devourer perhaps. Yes, of course, it's a descendant of the ancient dragons, but far from approaching their forming glory. The dragon wing seems to be useless appendages, barely able to carry the bloated body of this creature. Nevertheless, during the fight, it managed to take flight just a few meters in the air, only to use its whole body as a devastating weapon, causing a destructive crash. Indeed, the creature appears more like a Morpheus beam, desperately trying to kill its victim with various charges. Still, it's a formidable monster that the Joe can easily devour you. It's surely an armish design. It differs strongly with the actual fight. But of course, this monster serves as a good source of good inspiration for all the artists, and in the very end, that is what counts. Number 4. The Fall Killers. Imagine descending into the abyss. Imagine forgetting the glow of light. Imagine forgetting the warmth of the sun. Here, there is nothing but darkness and shadow. Suddenly, a fearsome presence appears. You don't know where it came from, but it has manifested before you. A specter, a ghost, you do not know. The only thing you know is that a hair-wrenching and agonizing scream shakes your systems. You don't even know how are you standing on nothing. There is nothing above or below you. Proportions, dimensions, they do not exist here. Logic vanishes long ago as you fell into this place. All you know is that something stopped you fall. A force. Yes, perhaps it comes from the ring you obtained after ending the life of the guardian of that monument of an ancient warrior. Suddenly, you see something completely manifesting itself in front of you. At the entrance of this void, it bears a very miserable resemblance to an humanoid. Its body is an amalgamation of petrified structures. Its weapon, something hardly called a sword, as it looked like a piece of pale deformed metal with considerable reach, almost like a extension of its already a barren being. Soon you realize it is not the only one of its kind here. in the depths of this black void. Those are the right-like remnants of the four leaders of New London Winds. Number 3. The Taurus Demon. The mythological beast of Minotaurs, the ancient myths of our world, occurred when the king Minos of Crete could not sacrifice a bull to Poseidon. The god made his wife desire the animal. The profane union resulted in the feral beast, a monster with the head of a bull and the body of a man, so aggressive and dangerous that he had to be imprisoned in the miry labyrinth, condemned to never see the light of the sun again. The archetypal description of this hybrid beast have been used in many myths across the time. One of the examples I would like to use is the Minotaur boss in God of War. It shows the raw brutality this monster is capable of, as if his death wasn't brutal enough already. Anyway, in the world of Dark Souls, the Taurus demon wields demon great axes, weapons carved from the bows of fellow demons. Physically, they are large Minotaur-like monsters, covered in brown fur. Along their yellow eyes, large horns protrude from their skeletal heads, and a tail hangs between their legs. The raw power this beast can muster at the very beginning, knowing the small space we have to fight, transform the fight into a quick run for your life, trying to find a way to escape the unstoppable force desperately trying to take you down with this stampede. And in some way, this fight feels more like a challenge for dominion over the beast, and we must not fall as a foe stronger than the tower itself belong to us, residing deep within of Dark Souls. Number 2. Grave Monitor. There is only darkness upon you. After a high fall, the last thing you hear was the impact of your foot on the mud puddle. Still, you barely can see something in front of you, but just barely beyond the reach of your extended hand. And then you hear it. Something is approaching from the dark. An ominous figure, the depiction of death itself. In my case, an ancient god that I used to pray to, for the blessing of outliving a horrible land one more day. Is there what lies, or the ones who serve him, or succumb within the catacombs of giants? And then they will become foes. He is one of the Lords of Fire, the most profane, the one who less information exists, the one who the only important thing to know is that he represents the very end of life. As in our war, the very image of death is clear, a skull and a skeleton in a black robe, the classic image of the Green Reaper, timeless, perpetual, constant, and immovable from the psyche of all living being. No matter the monster, no matter the entity of the dark god that could be conceived in the human imagination, in the very end, the universal concept and image of death will remain the same for all eyes, and very recognizable, no matter the shape it takes. May the fear of conquering death do not cause us more than our obsessive fear to not knowing what lies after it. Number 1. Manus, the father of the abyss. Death is a force of nature. Darkness is the absence of light and life, and but we always be forces within our known universe. Nevertheless, there is just one thing that contradicts those principles, then nothing less, the absence of anything, the void. Words like born or dead are such alien concepts for that realm of existence. In the void, there just exists a sole purpose, to expand this nature. Why, you will ask? Beings like these are at the top of all, simply because they break all laws of nature. There is nothing we can do against beings like them. Many the speech of all entities like that exist within the Lovecraft mythos. Extraterrestrial beings completely incompatible with our perception of reason and logic. The void represents something that may have been there, something that should have taken over everything, but it did not. Many reasons could be responsible for preventing this existence, for claiming its primordial place. However, this kind of existence fears that it will truly outlast us, or even worse, it already did. No matter how many times we defeat them, no matter how many times we fought, we achieved to take advantage of them, we were never the ones in power. Perhaps they only want to see how far we're willing to go for our ambitions, for our desperation, for our desires. How deep our denial can be in accepting the truth that they are well aware of, but we refuse to acknowledge under any circumstance. A dreadful truth, that is, to be born in the universe whose rules were not designed with you in mind, and to be completely alien to its functioning. A universe that you try to reach in its longevity, to try to deny the condemnation it imposed upon you. That irrelevant existence, that cosmic significance. We want to conquer that, but what would really happen if we achieve it? Perhaps they know, and we suspect it, but we don't want to confront that dreadful truth. Immortality is deeply incompatible with humanity. This applies to all life in general, as they are existences that were not conceived with the idea of enduring eternity in mind. Maybe that's why every time we try to dominate this power, this unique power we call cosmic or eldritch, it always ends the same way, as a nihil immortal, the loss of our reason and judgment, the only certain that state will never come to an end. And maybe that is because we born in a universe that was never thought for us to fit in there in the first place. We were called humanity, and they did not even notice. In the Dark Soul universe, this force is represented by Manus, the father of the abyss, a fitting name for the origin of those forces in this world. Manus was one regular human, the primordial human, if you will, who lived in an ancient land almost eradicated by time. It is that at this point in history, the abyss consumed all acid, for his darkness corrupt everything in its wake. All living thing that it touched succumbed to its influence, the abyss transforming him into a barren and wrathful entity, consumed by hate and confusion. The catalyst for Manus' transformation was the many obsolete residents who, under the command of their sorcerers, broke the seal on the abyss to explore its secrets. This act brought forth Magnus' rage and unleashed the full force of the abyss upon the land. It is after this moment we encounter the abyss and the consequence of Manus' transformation. Manus is portrayed as a tortured and tragic figure, deformed beyond the limit where you can't recognize a humanoid figure anymore, with two grotesque big hands and an arm that can reach you no matter how far you get from him. A beam that mastered that magic, capable of overwhelming us with a barrage of unholy fire and malevolent magic. And Dorias, one of Winged Four Knights, attempt to stop the spread of the abyss, but ultimately fall into its corruption. We, the chosen undead, our mission is to face Manus and put an end to his rampage. The battle with Magnus is intense and challenging, as it were a dark and powerful magic, as well as enormous physical strength. Defeating Magnus becomes crucial to stopping the abyss from further spreading and consuming the land. The most curious thing about this is Manus' lore ties into a larger theme of Dark Soul, which explores the consequence of tampering with dark forces beyond mortal comprehension, and the struggle between light and dark, order and chaos. This story serves a cautionary tale about the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge and the potential for darkness to consume even the mightiest of beings, even with all of that against us. Even with the sin of discord within our soul, we persevere, we create, we live. Because the human tenacity against any adversity is our path to eternity.
Conocidas de Pride en la mía no